Okay, today I'm going to be reading your close read out loud to you. You will need to complete the questions on these practice book pages as homework. Um, this will probably require you to read the text more than once. So I will read it to you once, but you can also go back and read it on your own. Okay, so let's first start by talking about the questions. It says genre. What kind of text is this passage? How do you know? They mean, is it fiction, nonfiction, informational, um, humorous, a personal narrative? Think about what type of text it is and then explain how you were able to tell that. Topic. Write a topic sentence to tell what the text is mostly about. So your answer will start by saying, this text is mostly about, and then you'll fill in the blank, the rest of the sentence. Number 3. Key ideas. In each section, circle 3 words or phrases that express the big ideas in that section. Note next to each word or phrase why you chose it. Okay, so this means that if you're doing your homework online, you are completely remote, you will need to circle this in your practice book and then take a picture of that and upload it. So it says numbers 1 through 12 and 13 through 14. Circle the word and tell me why you circled it. Number 4. Use your topic sentence and notes from item 3 to write a summary of the selection. So tell me what this selection was about, so what it was all about. All right, I'm going to begin reading. I will stop and read the other questions too when we see them. From texting, the great debate. So great debate. I know that's funny, huh? A remarkable number of doom-laden prophecies arose during the opening years of the new millennium. The new millennium was year 2000, all relating to the linguistic evils which would be unleashed by texting. The prophecies, or predictions, went something like this. Texting uses new, non-standard orthography. This will inevitably erode children's ability to spell, punctuate, and capitalize correctly, an ability already thought to be poor. They will inevitably transfer these new habits into the rest of their schoolwork. This will inevitably give them poor marks in examinations. Marks means grades. A new generation of adults will inevitably grow up unable to write proper English. Eventually, the language as a whole will inevitably decline. They use the word inevitably a lot. Inevitably means with certainty or in the end. Misinformation of this kind can be crushed only by solid research findings, and research is slowly beginning to show that texting actually benefits literacy skills. Literacy skills is reading and writing skills. The studies are few with small numbers of children, so we must be cautious. But a picture is emerging or starting to show that texting does not harm writing ability and may even help. Here are the findings of some recent studies. Vinal Varvel, a speech and language therapist working at the City University in London, compared group of 11 to 12-year-old texters with a similar group of non-texters. She found that neither group had noticeably worse spelling or grammar than the other, but that both groups made some errors. She also noted that text abbreviations or shortenings did not appear in written work. A team of Finnish researchers found that informal styling of texting is an important motivating factor, especially among teenage boys, and proved fresh opportunities for linguistic creativity. Linguistic means language, creativity. In a series of studies carried out in 2006 through 2007, Beverly Prisler, Claire Wood, and others from Coventry University found strong positive links between the use of text language and the skills underlying success in standard English in a group of preteen children. The children were asked to compose text messages that they might write in a particular situation, such as texting a friend to say that they missed their bus and they were going to be late. The more text abbreviations they used in the message, the higher they scored on a test of reading and vocabulary. The children who were better at spelling and writing used the most texting abbreviations. Also interesting was the finding that the younger the children received their first phone, the higher their scores. These results surprised some people, but why should one be surprised? Children could not be good at texting if they were not already developed considerable literacy awareness. Before you can write abbreviated forms efficiently and play with them, you need to have a sense of how the sounds of your language relate to the letters. You need to know that there are such things as alternative spellings. You need to have a good visual memory and good motor skills. If you are aware that your texting behavior is different, you must have already intuited that there is such a thing as a standard. So intuited means understood. Let's look at your questions. Reread numbers 1 through 8. Underline the author's viewpoint in the text. Number 6, reread numbers 1 through 7. They're talking about the lines. Circle the main idea of the part in the text and highlight the supporting ideas. Number 7, reread pages 174. Oh, I'm going to sneeze. Oh, sorry. To find another example of the main ideas and details of the structure, circle the main idea and highlight the supporting details. Okay, evaluate the text structure. Why is the main idea and details a helpful way for Crystal to present this information? You'll write your answer here, or you can do it on Canvas. Over here, my page cut off the questions. You should have a copy of this book, so please go ahead and read those on your own. Using such abbreviations as LOL or laughing out loud or BRB, be right back, you must have developed a sense of communicative needs of your textees, because these forms show you are responding to them. If you are using IMHO, in my humble opinion, or AFAIK, as far as I know, you must be aware of the possible effect of your choice of language might have on them, because these forms show that you are self-critical. Teenage texters are not stupid, nor are they socially inept with their peer group. They know exactly what they are doing. Texting is one of the most innovative linguistic phenomena in modern times, and perhaps it is why it has generated such strong emotions, a kind of laziness and inaffection and ridiculousness. Yet all the evidence suggests that belief in the impending linguistic disaster is a consequence of mythology, meaning not real, largely created by the media, meaning news and television. Children's use of text abbreviations has been hugely exaggerated, and the mobile phone companies have played a part in this by emphasizing their cool character, compiling dictionaries, and publishing usage guides, doubtless hereby motivating sales. Texting has been blamed for all kinds of evils that could not possibly have been responsible for. Virtually any piece of non-standard English in schoolwork is now likely to be considered a result of texting, even if the evidence is incontrovertible that the non-standardism has been around for generations. The other day I read about some condemning would have as a consequence of texting. That misspelling has been around for at least 200 years. You will find it in Keats. I have encountered similar misabbreviations in Japan, Finland, Sweden, France, and it is probably present in every country where texting has become a feature of communication. In a logical world, text messaging should have survived. I imagine a pitch to a potential investor. I have a great idea, a new way of person to keyboard. Their fingers will have trouble finding the keys, and they will be able to send messages with no more than 160 characters at a time. The writing on the screens will be very small and difficult to read, especially if you have visual handicap. Each message will arrive at any time, interrupting your daily routine or your sleep. Oh, and every now and again you won't be able to send or receive anything because the battery will run out. Please invest in it. What would you have done? But it is direct, avoiding the problem of tackling down someone over emails. It is focused, avoiding time wasting small talk. It is portable, allowing messages to be sent from virtually anywhere. It could even be done with one hand, making it usable while holding onto the roof strap in a crowded bus. It was personal, allowing intimacy and secrecy, reminiscent of classroom notes under the desk. It was unnoticed in public settings if the user turned off the ringtone. It allowed young people to overcome the spatial boundaries of their home, allowing communication with the outside world without the knowledge of parents and siblings. It hugely empowered the deaf. The shared writing system reduced the gap between them and hearing people. And it is relatively cheap, though given the quantity of messaging, some parents still have an unpleasant shock when their phone bill arrives. It wasn't surprising, therefore, that it soon became the preferred method of communication among teenagers. Youngsters valued its role both in advantage or identity, like accents and dialects, and a ludic linguistic pastime. And due course, adults too came value the discreetness and convenience. Interruption caused by the arrival of text message is discarded. To those interruptions caused by to those who text, the beep bearing the new text message inevitably thrills, not pains. How will it last? It will always be difficult to predict the future. When it comes to technology, perhaps it will remain as part of an increasingly sophisticated battery of communication methods, to be used as circumstances require. Or perhaps in generations' time, texting will seem as archaic as the method of communication as the typewriter or the telegram does today, and new styles will have emerged to replace it. For the moment, texting seems to be here to stay, though its linguistic character will undoubtedly alter as its use spends among the older population. Some people dislike texting, some are bemused by it, some love it. I'm fascinated by it, and it is the latest manifestation of the human ability to be linguistically creative and to adapt language to suit the demands of diverse settings. In texting, we are seeing an SLA, a language revolution. Okay, so we are going to be completing the questions that go along with the story right here. I'm not going to read this one because I couldn't even read the ones on the other page. So you have your textbooks or your practice books. You should be able to do this on your own. Remember, you can take pictures and send them to me. Then you are going to be answering these questions. Synthesize with the class. List some of the examples of the main idea and details. Structure that the author uses to make this argument that texting benefits literacy skills. Discuss the part that each example plays in the argument. So main idea and detail. So write what arguments that person is making, saying that texting is actually a good thing. Okay, then I'm going to just let you stop there because there is so much in this for you to write. So you just need to do the questions on your textbook page and then number 15. All right. Good luck. Message me if you have questions. This is a hard text. You'll probably have to read it more than once.